if you've got to do $2 million to survive in sales, and I'm marking up twice the amount and selling those jobs, then I've only got to do half the work to make the same money as you.
How old are you going to be before you start to experience life like you want it? I want to tell you right now, whether you like it or not, there is a better way to do business.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Business for Builders podcast. We kicked off last week doing things a little different, so welcome. My name is Max, I'm your host. I am the President and CEO at Smith & Sons here in Canada, and I'm also the ambitious founder of EliteBusinessAdvisory.com. Today I'm not trying to do the weather. We're going to run the whiteboard sessions until we get tired of doing it, but we hope that it gives you more value. If you are on the podcast, you're going to need to get across to Business for Builders YouTube, because that's where you're going to get your best bang for your buck, because I'm going to run some numbers today, and hopefully that helps you. So if you've just joined us for the first time, welcome. Appreciate you being in the house. Hope you get some value. And of course, if you've been with me for the long term, I appreciate you hanging in there. Righto, today I'm going to chat with you really quickly, and if you can see past my body, you'll see that the heading for today is budget breakdown and profit comparison. Because look, the biggest reason that builders go out of business is because of undercapitalization, and what that means is they just run out of money. Most of the time, the guys, and we've had this little joke between me and my business partner and other clients, is that if we're going to go broke, we'd rather just go and grab a six-pack and go and sit on the beach and watch the sun go down. We don't really need to go and work our asses off and then go broke at the end of the day. So if we're going to do this, let's do it properly. Now, doing it properly is going to demand that you understand what it is that you're doing. And most of us guys that go, I know what I'm doing, but really we don't have a good understanding. We're not across it in a good enough way to understand why it is that we're not making money. So a little while ago, I did a PowerPoint that episode was called How to Unbroke Your Business. And that was really cute, and that was easy to understand. You had to see it to understand, maybe. But today I'm going to do this on the whiteboard. So basically what I'm going to talk to you about, because I think what I know is that the aggravation that I have with the industry is when clients say to me, Max, why should I invest in a pre-construction agreement and give you this 1% of forecast build value, when I've got two other builders that don't charge me, they're just going to give me a free quote, okay? And I would love to think that all of us could really, instead of undervaluing our time, start to focus on, the fact that, well, when your lawyer charges you by every 6 minutes, you'll start to understand why, is because you're paying for their experience and their training. And I don't know why us builders will take our experience and our training and go and give that away for free. It annoys me. I wish I could just get all of the builders in the world to wake up tomorrow and go, we just don't do quotes for free, because that would put then back pressure on the marketplace. But the problem is we're all a little bit sometimes too desperate, and we'll go, okay, I'll do it for free. I won't ask. Now, most of the time the guys don't know what they're doing. So, and the other thing that annoys me is that guys will go and do work for not enough profit. Now, I don't know, the word profit seems to, invoke thoughts of greed, and, but it's like, if the business doesn't make enough money to operate and to maybe put some aside, then the business won't be around for very long. And I've said it to clients before. I said, the reason I price the way I do is to ensure that I don't go broke midway through your project. So that's a good way to just, start thinking about that. A lot of this you're going to have to internalize. I'm old and I've been around, in the industry now for 35 years and probably 10 years or more as a builder. And so, or as a general contractor, that's 15. I got my builder's license in 2009, May 2009. So there you go. So, you've got to understand why we talk about what we're talking about and what best practices are. So I'm going to have a crack at moving the needle in a positive direction. And of course, I would encourage comments and questions and emails and, because if I stand here for 20 or 30 minutes and just bang on about this and it makes no difference, then I've wasted my time. I might as well have just gone to the pub and had another beer, right? So I'm trying to maybe bring to your awareness an approach or a thought process that is a little bit different. And you might, I think by the end of this video, you'll go, now I know why I don't make any more money, okay? So what I'm going to show you is scenario one. So I'm going to get some numbers up on the board, okay? And I'm going to run you through, here I'm going to run you through the scenario that we strive to do as a minimum or a benchmark. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to run you through a scenario which really is going to be talking about this guy's business. Mr. I'm not happy because I've got idiot clients and I don't make enough money, okay? So I've just had the cap off this pen, so let's see how we go. Right, so this scenario one, we're going to have a $100,000 contract. Okay, so this is the contract value. Now, just keep in mind, I'm going to be working on this one, a 30% margin. Hands up those who know the difference between margin and markup. My videographer puts his hand up. What a smart ass. Okay, what I'm going to share with you, based on that margin, okay, that straight away will tell me that out of that 100,000, right, and you'll be running ahead because I'm the presenter, so I'm trying not to look like a goose, right? So I want to make sure that I know what I'm talking about. So this is 70K of what I'm going to call COGS, cost of goods sold, okay? And then the other part of what we do here is that 20K is going to go to ops or fixed expenses, okay? And then the last part down here is $10,000, which is basically going to be net profit. Yep, that's what I've got. Now, that is what, when I put franchisees in the game, that's what I'm striving for, okay? And I think I might have talked about this in another episode where I made the comparison between someone that didn't charge, as much of a markup compared to but our running expenses were more. Anyway, so this is really, like I said, it's an idea around understanding the budget breakdown. So if a client's saying, well, I'm spending 100 grand with Max, if you don't understand why you charge what you do, and this month is all about estimating, and all, anything to do with costing and pricing for projects. If you don't understand what to say in the first meeting, so if you missed last week's episode, go and have a listen to that, because I talked about tripwires and I talked about red flags and what I do in that first initial call and things like that. That's a good one. So that episode, this one was, segue straight out of that into this, okay? So we've got to understand as a baseline, okay? If you don't have a baseline and you don't know why you price the way you do, then you're going to struggle. Now, I would say this number here, this 20 grand here, this is one that's going to take more of a thought process, because this 70K is just, that's what you're going to pay subs and supplies, right? This 20 grand, this what does my business cost to run? This is what I want you to think about. What does my business cost to run every working day of the year? And how many projects do I build at once? Now, it's super easy. If your business costs you, whatever it costs you to run per month, per year, and then you divide the number of days, that will tell you that your business costs $750 a day to run, or whatever the case is, or $1,100. See, it'll depend on what your fixed expenses are. We won't get started talking about break-even points today or preferred monthly billables, but at the end of the day, your business is going to cost, on any working day, it's going to cost you a certain amount of money. Okay, and we must cover that, just like we must cover the $70,000 in the cost of goods sold. We must cover our operating expenses. Now, if we're doing 5 jobs at once, then the operating expense will be split 5 ways. Okay, if we're only doing 1 job at a time, because that's all we have the capacity to do, then that means we've got to have some consistency month in, month out of getting that 1 job. And that's a little bit dangerous. I would probably encourage you to have a couple at once, minimum, okay? Otherwise, there's too much pressure on 1 job, and if you drop the ball, then you don't cover your fixed expenses, now you're going broke, okay? Right, so that's the breakdown. So this net profit is what is left over after you've finished paying your subs and suppliers, because that's what they want, and after you finish paying your operations and your own wage. Now, some guys say to me, well, Max, I only pay myself $25 an hour. And I'm like, well, that's okay, that's cute, but it's not good enough, because I wouldn't come and run your business for $25 an hour. I just wouldn't do it. Okay, so we've got to start amping up. See, if you're saying my business is going all right, but you're only paying yourself 40 grand a year or whatever, then you're not living in reality. You're not building a business. You're just going paycheck to paycheck. Now, here's where shit gets real, and we start getting the grumpy face, because some of you guys, when we talk about, just by the way, that's a 43% markup. Okay, I'm going to write that up full, because a lot of guys will throw up at me and go, mate, that's just not possible. That's impossible. I can't do that. Okay, I'm going to show you some numbers right now where you might start to think, this is not a luxury, okay? This is not a luxury. It's a baseline. If you don't do this, the less markup you apply, the more work you have to do, okay? So if you've got to do $2 million to survive in sales, and I'm marking up twice the amount and selling those jobs, then I've only got to do half the work to make the same money as you, okay? Now, guys are lazy. They'll compete on price because they don't understand marketing and branding. They don't understand how to message. They don't understand how to demonstrate value online. They don't understand the power of doing local area marketing as well. Like, these are the guys, and you know what, honestly, they probably got a really shitty sales system. They don't have a documented sales process, and they certainly don't have any understanding as to what they've got to do once they jump it. They may even not have a piece of software to do their estimating. Maybe they're using spreadsheets still. Now, if you are, okay, but if you want to grow a business, you're gonna have to pivot, because that's never gonna fly. Okay. Now, so I might get some hate mail for this. Who knows, Dom? They might just give me a hard time. And if you've got questions, drop them in the comments, and I'll do my best. Or you can email me, max@elitebusinessadvisory.com.
And subscribe.
Don't forget, I've just been prompted. You got to like and subscribe. One of these drops every week. Hit the bell. Maybe this will be the last one that you watch. Who knows? But hopefully not. Hopefully not. Right. So this one here is a, oh, Max, that would be a dream. Okay. But I think once I run you through this, if you're happy just to pull a paycheck, okay, then this scenario is for you. But it's not for me, because I want to build a freaking business, okay? So let's go we're going to go the same way. We're going to go $100,000 contract. Now, what I'm going to do to make my math easy, I'm going to basically halve the markup, or give or take. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a $100,000 contract with, and it's going to have an 18% margin, okay? Now, essentially, hopefully that's not going off camera. Essentially what that is a 22% markup, okay? So I'm marking up 43 over here. Everyone thinks I'm being greedy. Homeowners say to me, Max, why are you so expensive? And I don't tell them what I'm thinking, because that might be not good for business relations. But what I feel like saying is, I'm actually priced at the money. My competitors are just truck and ladder guys, chuck in a truck, just not really wanting to build a business. I'm wanting to build a business, and I know that I'm going to be here in the long term. Those guys, they might not be here. I mean, there's guys that'll work in this town for 5 years, and then they'll just pack their shit up and go to Victoria. It happens. I've seen it. They just want to start over because it gets too hard and too hot in this town, and they just leave smelling like roses and start over again and start messing with people's lives in that town. Okay, so that's why this is the baseline. Okay, to make a 30% margin is a minimum in renos. Now, if you're doing custom homes, that does change a little bit. Preferred markup's probably about 33%, which I think is a 25% margin. Okay, but you're talking about larger contract values. You know, guys, you might be just doing 20, 30, 40, 50, $100,000 jobs. Up to $250,000, 43% is probably going to be working, okay? And it's what you need to do, because you're going to be very fixed expense heavy, okay? And this is going to segue into where we talk about the economy of scale, okay? Now, let me get into these numbers. So, the comparison is contract value is exactly the same. The markup inside the 100,000 is 18% margin. So, if I go the other way, I'm now going to calculate the fact that 18% is now 82,000. That is my cost of goods sold. Yep. Right? And if I've got to check my notes to make sure I don't cock this up on you guys, and you don't know this, then you're in hot water. You're driving blind, okay? All seriousness, like I'm not dicking about. You've got to know your numbers. If you don't, and you've got to know your numbers across the board. If you don't know your numbers in the estimating, and you don't know your numbers in what it takes to run your business, and you don't know your break-even points and things like that, then you're basically just hoping and praying. You're just spraying it and praying it works out. And that doesn't work out either. Okay, so that's cost of goods sold. So what that leaves us with, when we talk about what percentages are left, so I've got 18% now, which is about $18,000. Yeah. That's going to be ops and fixed expenses. Now, the number that I use to calculate whether or not you are at or below or above the acceptable spend on fixed expenses, because this is it. You're like, well, how do you know it's 18 grand, Max? Well, I know that somewhere between 15. Now, that's why over here I've got 20 here, which essentially is 20% of the 100K, okay? Now, if I could say, all right, if I thought 15% was going to do it, we could take a little bit of money and go, all right, let's make that 15K, and then I have a net profit out of that of $3,000. Now, I would say that a $100,000 project, when I look at this is a 3-month project. Okay, so if all you're going to do is if I divide that by 3 months, and all you're going to do is make $1,000 a month, and in the next breath you tell me you actually want to build a business, how are you doing that? Because for $1,000, I can go and blow $1,000 at a company event. I mean, one of the most recent ones we had was at a restaurant where we had the franchisees, and that cost me $1,500. One afternoon with all the franchisees in the room, $1,500 just for one meal. So if you're talking about spending, and let's say if that means you're doing about $33,000 per month, which that's going to be 330 plus another 66. It's almost 400K per year. And then you should be spending probably 3% on marketing. So what's 400K, 3, 4, so is that 12 grand? Okay, so that's interesting. So I've got 400K in, let's call it contracts. And I'm asking you to spend, because it's such a small amount of money, 3% of that equals $12,000. Okay, so you're spending $12,000 a year to make $1,000 a month in profit, which goes straight back into marketing. You're not making any money. So what I'm begging you to do is to just consider this. Okay, I think on the last episode I talked about questions are the answers. I want to ask you the question. Are you happy with how much money your company has currently got in the bank that you know is yours? I know when I built townhouses, I got a check for 330 grand. Like I could have paid a house off. It wasn't all mine, right? But this is the problem. We don't know what our equity position is. We don't know how much of that money in our bank account is ours. And that comes down to knowing what your work in progress is. And I would urge you to also go and maybe just pick up a video, and maybe I should do one of these too, about work in progress accounting. Okay, so just think about when I'm talking about, and there's guys that have embraced, I've got clients right now that have embraced that 43% profit margin, and they've got a very good top of funnel, they've got a good sales process, and they are making very good money. And they're doing post $500,000 contracts. So don't give me the excuses. It's doable. And the problem will normally be, and I've seen this as well, it's not the marketplace, it's not the percentage markup, it's not the competition, it's not the guys that aren't out there for you to employ, it's you're the bottleneck. Your mindset says it can't be done. Now, the minute you say that, you will never break through this process. Now, if you're somewhere between a 30% margin and an 18% margin, mazel tov, the more the better. Because remember, if I'm doing 100 grand here, and I'd only have to do half the work to make the same money. But that just means I brand better and I market better and I sell better. I demonstrate value better. I've got a better website, all of that. Everything that's, I've got a better message, working on capability statements all the time. How is it that I get the clients to understand who I am and to believe in what I do more than my competition. Because if they don't know that, all they're going to do is make us compete on price. And honestly, if I've got a client in front of me that is just looking at price, I will lose. And I know that's for real. Like that, we bid on a job for BC Wildlife, Forestry, whatever it is. And I know why we didn't get that job. And it was a $9,000 job because they would have saved $500 and went with some other guy. See, I will never do that again. Because remember, I am probably looking to just get some work for the guys. And it was good. It was pretty easy. But at the end of the day, they're a business. They get provincial and federal funding, and they're doing nothing but trying to preserve the amount of money that's coming in. So they're not looking at Max and Smith and Sons going, well, he'll probably do a superb job, be no problems to deal with, and he'll still be there at the end of the project for warranty or what have you. They don't look at that. They just go, get the job done. Where's the cheapest quote? And that's why I don't normally do quotes for government departments or realtors or businesses, because they're just looking at the bottom line. Okay, so that is why all of a sudden to go and get this becomes far greater as a challenge, because there's no emotion involved in the decision making. They're just looking at the bottom line, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm a business owner. I do that sometimes. You know, the guy that does all my wraps and bits and bobs, does all of our site signs. He's one of the few guys that I've not shopped around because I kind of like him. He gives me great service. He will drop everything to try and get the stuff done that I need done. I value that more than a price. Now, I'm sure he's not doing me much of a favor, but at the end of the day, I'll get good service. That's worth something, okay? So that's why I don't particularly do work for people that are just looking at the bottom line. If they're just looking at the bottom line, I am going to be priced. If you're over here, this is you and this is you, right? If I'm competing against you and I'm marking up here and I've got a client that's just looking at money, you will get the job. But all you're going to do is be busy and not profitable. And I don't know why you're in business if you're happy with that. If you've got any questions, drop them in the comments, hit me on email. If you're interested in some business coaching, specifically and custom designed for builders and contractors, hit me up on email, max@elitebusinessadvisory.com. Shoot across to the website, hit the book a consultation button. If you can't find a space, let me know. I'll move some things around to make sure we can get together and just have a quick chat about what's going on and see if we can figure something out. Don't forget, like and subscribe. Get across to Business for Builders VIP. We'll drop clips of this in there as well. And it's a good little community that we're starting to build there as well. So go and build a kick-ass business. Do it for the right profit margins. See you in the next episode. Cheers.